Hello and welcome to the Monaco Grand Prix podcast on Formula1 FanCast.
The glitz, the glamour, the streets of Monte Carlo could only mean one thing as the Monaco Grand Prix came to town. Monaco certainly served up a thrilling race on Sunday with Sebastian Vettel yet again taking the checkered flag to win and pull further ahead in the drivers' standings. Fernando Alonso finished second and Jenson Button came home in third. And here with me to review the Monaco Grand Prix as always is Paul Hadsley. How are you, Paul?
Hello, how long we got today? I think we need about an hour.
Well, Paul, firstly, what a fantastic race on Sunday.
It was just what we needed. Fantastic. I was worried about Monaco. I think I said last week on the show, it can either be the best race of the year or the worst. I think it clearly is nudging towards one of the best so far. Certainly one of the best Monaco Grand Prix I've ever seen. So much action and drama. Yeah, we need a long time to just dissect this one.
Well, before we do go on to talk about the key players in the race, Nico Rosberg had a heavy crash in third free practice session and managed to stop his Mercedes, hurtling headlong into the barriers. And then in qualifying, Sauber's Sergio Perez crashed heavily into the tyre wall at Nouvelle chicane with 5 minutes to go in Q3. And Vitaly Petrov crashed into a barrier in the race. Paul, these incidents demonstrate that Formula 1 is indeed a dangerous sport and you can never take anything for granted.
No, it's more crashes than well, last year was a bit of a crash when I think about that, but it's more dangerous and scary crashes than I can remember in one weekend. Obviously, it cut to Perez in qualifying, and he wasn't moving in the car, and that was scary. And that's not what you want to see. I mean, people think the cars are outgrowing the track, but that was true about 1967. I mean, the cars are never going to fit that track. It's bumpy. There's calls to do something about the bump in the tunnel that caused everyone so much issue. Thankfully, they were careful in the race. There was no actual incidents there. So, yeah, they could do something about it. Planing the bumps down, but it is a road, so whatever they do is going to, it's just going to, the traffic that goes over it is going to make it worse.
And we wish Sergio a speedy recovery, and Paul, hopefully we'll see him competing at the Canadian Grand Prix in a couple of weeks' time.
They're both the drivers that were injured, Perez and Petrov, at the end of the race. They're both determined to be fit for Canada, so they've got 2 weeks now to get ready, and hopefully we'll see them both and they won't need any. And I'm sure there's a lot of I'm sure Bruno Senna was rubbing his hands in glee, but the only person that's excited about these incidents, obviously you want to concern for your fellow co-driver as soon as you find they're right, I want a seat, that sort of thing. But hopefully everyone's going to wish them well for Canada.
Coming on to the race now, and at the minute all the luck appears to be Red Bull and Sebastian Vettel.
Yeah, he is clearly the fastest driver. He's got such a talent. He's clearly got the fastest car this year, but he's also got the look. And that is sort of impossible. It's like a 3 strikes and you're out situation. It's like a hat trick. Nothing can beat you, because sometimes if you're not in the best car, you can say hope for a wet race or some sort of lucky circumstance that brings the race to you. But if he's got the look as well, I mean, how has he got a golden horseshoe into that car? It's got to be a light one. But yeah, it's just amazing that things fall his way, because at the end of the race, things were not going his way. 2 cars behind him were faster. His tyres were about to hit the cliff.
And Vettel won the race despite his first and only pit stop not going to plan.
Yeah, as a Formula 1 fan, as a commentator, whatever, there's a lot. That was a great race, cannot deny it. But there's something inside me that thinks that could have been a bit better. If the red flag hadn't come out, that crash hadn't happened, it could have been a 3-car bun fight for the win, and it could have been this race we talk about as a classic finish, which I was trying to build up during the race. This would have been the classic finish we think about, instead of just Mansell and Senna every time we go to Monaco, those same highlight clips of the finish of 5 laps of Senna defending. This could have been a 3-way fight for the lead, and with the way the tyres are, it wouldn't have been a done deal that Vettel just had to block with the DRS and everything. He could have been passed. We saw in the race there was some passing. Hamilton and Massa, there was passing in that race. So it could have been the most classic finish of Monaco. It's just a shame we lost that.
Well, Fernando Alonso, Sebastian Vettel and Jenson Button were covered by less than a second.
Yeah.
And had there not been a reappearance of the safety car, potentially Alonso and Button could have got past Vettel.
Well, I think Alonso would have been more desperate. I think he saw that Button has fresher tyres than him, so he had to have gone. They had I think Button was waiting for the last 10 laps to see what was going to happen, then really give it a go. Alonso, I think, would have forced the issue. If they could replay that and just get it back to where it was, and I think, in my head, Alonso would have made push Vettel wide, and then Button would have sneaked through, and then it would have been between those two. But I think we were on for either an Alonso or Button victory. I didn't see Vettel, even at Monaco, keeping those two behind on one set of tyres. It's a shame that they could change tyres. And when that happened in the red flag, everyone's heart sank. It's like, they can change tyres now. Oh, complete anticlimax. But what can you do?
Once the stoppage was in place, and once Vettel was able to change his tyres, he was then able to comfortably hold off Alonso and Button.
It was a bit of an anticlimax, that was a shame. I mean, Lewis did his best to liven it up, and it's surprising to see a red flag and then a restart. I thought that was it. As soon as the red flag was out, I was like, there'll be no restart, it's over 75% distance. But yeah, it was a shame that they had to change tyres.
Well, Vettel's teammate Mark Webber finished the race 4th. Paul, once again, Webber didn't make the best of starts to the race.
I know, and I said this during the race, he was just every time you think he's doing well, and we need him to put in a good performance, because I think we're being sympathetic towards him now. I think people aren't just like going, oh, he's rubbish. They're going like, come on, Mark, you can do it, Mark. I think people are behind him more than he thinks. And it's just he needs to perform, and every time he looks like he's about to deliver, it's like, he's been overtaken, he's lost a place, and he's not doing well, and he was down at some ridiculous place, like 16th at some point in the race, and it was looking terrible for him. So he salvaged a bad position, but how long is he going to have to keep going on salvaging bad performances?
Well, not for the first time this season. We saw him again battling with Kamui Kobayashi.
Yeah, it's not. It always annoys me when Kobayashi's in front of people. So I wish it was the other way round and watch him overtake. But yeah, it's like that was. He's obviously everyone's got a strength, and some people's strengths over one lap, and some people's strengths are keep managing your tyres. And Kobayashi's strength is overtaking. That's his thing, and apparently defending too. If you can keep a Red Bull behind you for so long.
Well, Ferrari's Fernando Alonso finished the race second, just behind Vettel. Paul Alonso yet again made a flying start to the race and getting past Webber. Yeah,
it must be something on the. We thought the Renaults at the start of the year had their best start, but Alonso now 2 races in a row has gained positions on the before the first corner. Ferrari again strong in the first stint and then falling away, but then it came back to them through strategy. The car speed again is the same. It's very strong at the start and then loses it, but because they took tyres and Vettel didn't, they think they flattered to deceive a bit. Yeah, it looked better for them anyway. So yeah, good for them. Hopefully we need as many teams as possible to be strong.
And Alonso now is starting to gain some momentum.
Yeah. I mean, I think the Spanish performance was good for him. He led his home Grand Prix, which should give him some personal motivation, and he knows he's got the team behind him, no matter what they say. So yeah, he will do the best that the car will allow him. That's all he can hope for.
Well, Felipe Massa retired from the race in Monaco, having lost control on the tyre debris in the tunnel, hitting the barriers. In the last couple of races, Massa's been struggling. I was pretty sure he was out of the race anyway, before all that, because Hamilton took a huge hole out of his radiator at the hairpin. We were watching the thing. The best thing to do on the race is watch them via onboard. You get so much more information than just... And usually you see incidents before the TV cameras, the director cuts to it. So, yeah, he looked like he had a hole in his radiator anyway. Wasn't really able to find out, because then he scraped that radiator down the barrier, and you couldn't really, it's like cause and effect. But I was pretty sure he was already out. I was always calling that, and then Lewis tried to finish the job in the tunnel. So yeah, another poor weekend for Massa. Really a victim of circumstance, just a victim of Monaco's intricacies and uniqueness. Not really a bad performance per se, but he tried his hardest, and he actually did an overtake, not using the DRS, coming out of the chicane in Monaco's, and that was the move of the race in my view. So he did well. He just obviously a victim of circumstance. Well, had the safety car not come out at any point during the race, we might have been talking about a Jenson Button win.
Yes, but they reacted well, because the McLaren, they brought Button in for a pit stop when they thought the Virgin Racing conked out just before the massive incident, and they brought him in for a pit stop expecting a safety car there. It didn't happen. So then the safety car did come out a couple of laps later, and he was able to shuffle to the front of the pack. That looked like it was a winning strategy until Vettel decided not to pit, and that's how it sort of, when Button went in for his second stop, Vettel was ahead, and then that's the only way they decided to win the race. So yeah, it worked out for Vettel, but Button looked strong that weekend. Monaco is one of his favourite tracks. He's won there before, and that was a great performance from Button. Just, again, a victim circumstance that didn't quite fall in his favour.
Well, it was a case of just unlucky for Button, and he couldn't have driven a better race.
No, I guess a great performance, and give him some... It's nice to see that the McLaren's pendulum swings back and forth, and now Button's strong and Hamilton's under fire, and it goes back and forth between them, surely race by race.
Well, things went from bad to worse throughout the weekend for Lewis Hamilton. Hamilton was only able to set one time lap in Q3 in qualifying, and in that lap he cut the chicane, which meant he started the race from 9th. And in the race, Hamilton received a drive-through penalty after he bumped into Massa on lap 34. Lewis then had to have his rear wing repaired after Jaime Alguersuari went into the back of the McLaren, and then to make matters worse, Hamilton was penalised with the addition of 20 seconds to his finishing time after colliding with Pastor Maldonado's Williams at Saint-Devote. Hamilton finished the race 6th. Paul, a weekend to forget for Lewis Hamilton.
Angry man this weekend. He's obviously had setbacks and took them out on track, and that's not what's dangerous when you start getting angry behind the wheel. I think it was dangerous for Massa, it was dangerous for a few cars. Maldonado, I think the Williams he smashed into. You don't take your anger out on track, and I've never seen Lewis drive like that before. I mean, he's been for his age, he's been a well judged and educated young man. He took his, he's been professional about it. But for the first time, you saw maybe the impetus of youth. I don't know, but he was an angry man. You don't take your anger out on track. Hopefully, he's got it all out of his system now, all in one weekend, one bad weekend. Get it behind you and move on to Canada. But yeah, that is not Lewis Hamilton. And then what happens after the race when he's trying to excuse himself? Well. Do we mention that? I don't know. Slightly off-colour joke, if you can say that. But yeah, very, very poor performance from Hamilton, and that's not the driving of a world champion.
Just coming on to what you said, Lewis certainly vented his anger out on the stewards in his post-race interview.
It was a joke. He said it was a joke. He's like, and BBC were very pained to point out that it was a joke. He was joking there, by the way. It was a joke. He didn't mean it. It was a joke. It was a bad joke. It was badly timed. And when you're in the multi-language, multinational Formula 1, when they start translating it, not everyone will understand the reference to Ali G, which was something in the 1990s. Well done, Lewis, for being completely out of time. But yeah, it's not because of that, Lewis. It's just you've had a bad weekend. I know he's trying to joke, but you shouldn't just mess around like that, because people will take it the wrong way, especially people who've got an interest to take your words and reuse them to their own means. So yeah, just he should just take the bitter pill of this weekend, deal with it, get out of his system, go and punch a punching bag or something, and then come back refreshed in Canada. And Canada will be the test. That'll be a really great performance. He'll dominate the weekend, depending on the car, or he'll be taking it out on track again, having issues in qualifying. Sometimes things don't go your way, Lewis. Just deal with it and get it out of your system and come back stronger.
There was better news for Sauber on Sundays. Kamui Kobayashi finished 5th. Kobayashi gave his team something to cheer about come the end of the weekend. Yeah,
I mean, that's nice. After what happened in qualifying, that was a bit scary. Obviously just one car and etc. But Sauber are dark horses this year. It's not just that Kobayashi's doing overtake and we like to support them because they're the minority team and like we would like the underdog. They are pretty much one of the best midfield teams. They're up there with Renault, and this is amazing for a team it was on its last legs when BMW pulled out, and it's only took a year, and suddenly they're solid midfield runners. It just takes a little bit of investment, and they'll be back up winning like they did when they're BMW.
Again, we wish Sergio Perez a speedy recovery, and hopefully we'll see a speedy Gonzalez Perez back in the Sauber at the Canadian Grand Prix. Adrian Sutil finished 7th for Force India, although at one point he was running 4th. Paul, much needed points for Adrian and Force India.
Yeah, this time again another pendulum, because last week we were singing the praise of De Resta, saying he took it like a duck to water. Sutil suddenly turns up and puts in a great performance, strategy based, but he's up there. I saw his name in the top 10 at some point. I was like, is that Sutil? S-U-T? Yes, Sutil. What's he doing up here? It was a surprise. But again, Kobayashi, Sutil, they're running very close together. I think they copied each other's strategies. But yeah, great performances from the underdog teams, you'd say.
And Paul Di Resta certainly had an eventful race.
He needs to name. If Lewis hadn't gone in there, it would have been Paul Di Resta Hairpin, whatever Lewis Hairpin's name this year. But yeah, he's first time in Monaco, I think. I can't remember if he's raced her in the support series, but it takes a lot of adjustment. Yes, he's done well this year, but this is the first time that his inexperience showed, and it's got out. Hopefully, that's it out of his system now. Over to Canada and some more usual tracks, because Monaco is such a unique experience. You cannot prepare for it. He's got that under his belt now, and yes, he's made some mistakes, but he was trying. At least you couldn't say he wasn't trying, but he wasn't going to sit behind the car. But yeah, he smashed into it. So yeah, nice try. Try harder next time.
Nick Heidfeld finished 8th for Lotus Renault, and Rubens Barrichello scored his and Williams' first points of 2011 with a 9th place finisher. Relief all round for Williams to score their first points of the season.
Still confuses me when you say Lotus Renault. They've had the court case now. It's just Renault. Let's not start me. And at least you said Heidfeld, so you're getting it right. But yeah, that's Williams, great. It's Monaco. It's just a big random. It's like putting all the cars in a bag and shaking it up. Because even Vettel still won, but the midfield teams, it's more mechanical grip than aerodynamic grip. So it says that Williams and Renault have got great mechanical grip, even if the aerodynamics are suffering. So when we get to sort of the faster tracks, we'll see them go back down the grid again. But it's nice that they get some points and show their face of it on camera, get the sponsor some airtime, and yeah, great performances from those teams.
And a disappointing end to what promised to be a decent weekend for Maldonado.
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't a scary moment, but yeah, Lewis was trying. Maldonado just happened to be the guy. Not his fault. He couldn't have let him through, even if he wanted to. If he'd have just jinked out of it after the safety car, then he'd have hit the wall and Hamilton would have gone through. So nice try. He still managed to get his car out of the way, which was nice of him, but yeah, it was very quick. I thought that was going to be another safety car on the end of the race, but nicely tied it up by the marshals. And yeah, great race, just a victim of Hamilton, I was going to say, not hit circumstances.
Well, Toro Rosso Sebastian Buemi picked up the final point and finished the race 10th. Buemi's made a decent start this year. Yeah,
it's just like Toro Rosso is like, it's a good place to turn up, to put your performance in. If it goes wrong, you're not going to get too much spotlight. And if it's going wrong in the pressure, etc., maybe in the Italian press, but certainly not in the international press. And yeah, you can turn up, put your performances in, and if you can just sort of punch above your weight occasionally, like when Vettel won in Monza in the wet. And if it goes wrong, you just say, hey, you're in a Toro Rosso. It's just the team. Don't worry. Yeah, it's good performances from Buemi. He should be a star of the future. Is he going to be in the second Ferrari next year? Wow, that's the question. He could be in the second Red Bull. Lots of seats are going to become vacant, I have a feeling, next year. So he just needs to show his card now and hopefully wait for the opportunities to come his way.
Well, Paul, thank you very much for coming in to review the Monaco Grand Prix.
To keep keep up to date with latest Formula 1 news, visit www.formula1fancast.com, or you can follow us on Twitter at Formula1 FanCast.